Hi there everybody, and welcome to my basic guide for Seraph's Last Stand. I'm Icon, and in this video I'm going to explain how this game works, how you play it, how to somehow get good at it, and what it's all about. So this video is ideal if you're looking for some help because you're lost, or if you want to check out whether or not you will like the game. Before I get started, there's timestamps in the description box, so if you're looking for a certain topic, go check them out. So first off, what it's all about. Seraph's Last Stand is a roguelite retro arcade shooter. So you're playing this charming little mage guy, you get to select what kind of weapon you want to go for, and then you get out into the level and you shoot those baddies. After each wave of these baddies, you get to select one upgrade and you grow more powerful. Up there you have an HP bar, goes to 0, you're dead. Here's the current wave. Here's your current amount of souls. Souls are your meta progression currency, and beyond that, it's all about crazy build creation. There are various different power-ups, and each of them can be stacked pretty much indefinitely. I haven't found a limit yet. So you can create various crazy builds with that. You can select between different mage staves, which define your basic attack. And there is a ton of freedom of creation, and that's the basic gameplay concept. And usually I don't mention that, but for this game it's so crazy. It's also just less than $1. Yes, that's how dirty cheap this game is, so it's definitely worth mentioning because usually games aren't that cheap, at least games that are that good. So that's the basic summary. Let's explain the gameplay. As you see here, shooting these guys is the major sales point. If you press Q, you get auto fire toggled on. Up here you see your HP, like I mentioned already. There's really not much going on in the user interface that I need to explain more thoroughly. Down here you can check out your different upgrades that you got, and you are always in the same arena, so this level is always looking the same. You can really work out some strategies with that, make use of that terrain, and be careful about how you maneuver yourself around. Also worth mentioning, enemy projectiles can be exploded with your own, as you see here, and your projectile always follows your cursor, unless you have a weapon which says otherwise. So overall, the gameplay is a lot about finding a build that's sufficient to you. As you see here, there's also a color coding. White is common, green is uncommon, and purple is rare. And with that, well, you just gotta go through that. Worth mentioning is also that every 5 waves you have a guaranteed rare drop, and there is also sometimes a boss in between. I think it was after 50 waves that I've met my first boss. Overall, this game is a wonderful time killer, and your build creation, which is the next topic which I want to talk about now, is something which is, even though the parts are quite simple, a very intriguing and captivating thing, which took me by surprise how much fun I had and how much I got stuck with it. So let's talk about build creation for a moment. Like I already mentioned, there is no real limit in how many upgrades of a build you pick, so of a item you pick from your build. So I'd strongly recommend you to go for a certain amount of things that work well together. Most often I let me inspire from the first couple of rare drops that I got, and from that on go crazy. There's really a lot of different things that you can go for, and that's maybe the most fun part about this game. And build creation wise, I can only say so much. Specialization is worth it, and the defensive items are also worth it. You should not only invest into offensive build items here, because you will mostly die. As you see here, I took up a leech, which gives just a straight out life conversion from the damage, and the deeper you go in the game, the more pressing the defensive measures will go. There's various different methods of doing so. Just try them out. There's really a lot of fun. And there's also one thing that confused me a bit, which I wanted to explain. There's one upgrade called Stability, which will make your projectile pierce more enemy projectiles before it disperses. But that's pretty much all I want to say about, here it is, about builds, because honestly, go crazy. I don't want to go for this is the ideal build or this is a strong build, because that's actually a fun killer. I only want to emphasize specialization is good, and don't go into offense only, because as long as the game goes longer, you will get hurt. You will have to mitigate damage somehow. Okay, so next thing on my list are Ascensions. There are, for pretty much every of these upgrades, well, let's call it milestones. As you reach a certain threshold of these upgrades, for example, with Leech, if I remember correctly, it was something like 9 or 12 stacks, you'll get an extra bonus effect on these attributes. The attack speed thingy, when you have enough of those, you will gain a laser pointer, which will show you where your projectiles will fly, and on top of that, it'll deal moderate damage. Each of these upgrades has one of these so-called Ascensions, and if it doesn't have yet, it'll get implemented in the future. These Ascensions are quite important, and some of them are even working in a way that I'd say, even if you don't want to max out that stat, the Ascension perk of these is so useful that you might want to consider skilling it only until you get the Ascension perk, and then go for skilling something else. Because, don't get me wrong about that, that's another thing that I want to emphasize about Ascensions. It is not the end of the line. Once you have the Ascension perk of that upgrade, you can still buy it like a madman. Only because you got that fancy laser pointer doesn't mean that you won't benefit from further attack speed. No, you'll be growing further beyond that. So specialization is still the name of the game, but those Ascensions allow you to give you really interesting upgrade options. And like I said, check them out. Try them out and you'll see what I'm talking about, that you're sometimes interested in things that, well, don't obviously fit into your build, but the Ascension skill does. Alright, so that's pretty much all that I can say about the gameplay. Let's leave this wonderful little arena and I'll show you the background of that. So I'll give up. Bye-bye, cruel world, and let's get back here. So as you see here, there's the arrow, which allows you to buy you new upgrades. Every one of these upgrades is 25 souls. That's basically the ground price for everything here. And there's staves to unlock and helmets to unlock. The staves offer you different behaviors of the basic attacks. And I haven't discovered yet if these are purely cosmetic, but I highly think so. I haven't spent any souls yet into that. The unlock system is pretty simple, and overall this game is very simplistic, but it's surprisingly deep. What's also worth mentioning while we're talking about unlocks, here in the encyclopedia, you can go all the way down and check out the Ascensions that you have already unlocked, or how many stacks you'll need to find out what kind of Ascension you'll get. So yeah, that's pretty much all I had to say about this game. Go in it, go crazy, it's a lot of fun, and I've been extremely surprised about how much fun I had with this one. And like I said, it's less than $1, and it's a wonderful time killer, and you'd be surprised how much time I've spent by buying this just random, because it had overwhelmingly positive reviews and was that cheap. So if you found that helpful, or if you have anything to add or some questions, just drop me a comment down below and leave me a thumbs up if you enjoyed, and of course consider subscribing if you haven't done so already. There's daily content coming up from my side, and also hundreds of videos on the channel. Last but not least, I also wanted to mention that in the description box you'll not only find those timestamps I was talking about, but also a link to my Twitch channel where I do stream quite regularly. So if you might want to check it out, I'd be super happy to see you there and say hi. No matter what, I hope you have a fine day and have fun gaming, and see you soon. Bye bye.